So I think this is a good place to start. We'll do a quick game of word association. When I say Iron Bowl, what does that two-word phrase conjure up?
I don't think you have much of a choice. You're either Alabama or Auburn about the time they change your diaper. So it's, you know everybody. It's a small state. You know the history. You know the coaches. You were recruited by both schools. There's nothing like it.
To me, it's the greatest rivalry ever. It means something to everybody. I mean, but it's more, there are more fights in the stand than are on the field. And there's I guess it's a respect that you played in the game, because until you really play in it, you really don't understand the intensity of it.
Everybody who played in these games, everybody who plays for Alabama and Auburn in this area knows each other. How much of an honor is it to be a part of this quote-unquote fraternity?
Oh, I mean, yeah, that goes without saying. I mean, just playing in the game, you're representing everybody you ever played for or with, you know? I mean, every player in high school, Little League, they're all pointing at the TV and said, I used to play with that guy. So you're repping a bunch of other people, your family, everybody else. And so you understand that, you know, these guys are no different than you. And it takes Auburn to make Alabama, and Alabama to make Auburn.
Wes is right. If you start playing first organized football, if you're like 85 pounds, and then from that day on, you won't play in the Alabama-Auburn game. And when you come out in Legion Field, it's the only thing close to like your first game at Auburn. You know, when the first time you come out of the tunnel with your blue jersey on, and there's 80,000 people hollering, and your feet just barely touch the ground. And the only other time that matches that is when you play Alabama.
I'm very curious, Kyle. You shared a backfield with Bo Jackson. I mean, that's like taking an art class with Van Gogh, right?
Very, very well said, yes.
Was that motivating? Was that intimidating? What was that like?
First, let's state the obvious. He's a genetic freak of nature, okay? Second, probably the greatest athlete I've ever been around in my life. Was it intimidating? No, because on a football team,
you didn't have to tackle him.
That's true. That's true.
I wouldn't intimidate him.
No, I mean, but I'm competing with him. I'm trying to get on the field. I'll tell you a story about Bo. Bo, after we'd reeled off 6 or 7 games and we'd won, we were playing somebody, and of course he's back. He's going to start. And Bo goes to Coach Dye and says, hey, it's really not fair. Kyle needs to start. He's been here all year. It's not fair for me to just pop back in. And it's Bo Jackson we're talking about. I expected him to start, right? I never knew that till much later in after I'd played that he had made that request. And sure enough, it was a surprise to me we started. But Wes and I both played with phenomenal athletes, okay, that ended up in the NFL. But they were, like you said, they're just your running buddies. He was the one guy that every once in a while he'd nudge your buddy and go, did you just see that? And that's what kind of athlete he was.
Wes, what would you say is the greatest Iron Bowl game ever played?
Oh, 85, there's no doubt about it. Whoever had the ball last was going to score. Both defenses were gassed. And you go over who was on the defense. I think everybody off our defense from that game played in the NFL, and I'm pretty sure most of the Auburn guys on that defense played in the NFL, because everybody left it on the field.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. And I'll speak to that. I would probably had the same answer because I played in it and watched it unfold. And we didn't run into the locker room because 4 or 5 of my best friends play for Alabama. They came over and we just hugged, and the exhaustion of both teams at that night, it was a relief that it was over, and sorry we had lost. And I think they were a little bit sad also in a different kind of way.
Yeah. Well, we knew they played their tails off, but somebody has to lose, and we didn't want it to be us, but you still respect that.
Right. Steve, do you have a different answer to that question?
What was the question?
The greatest Iron Bowl game ever played.
Well, if you're an Auburn person, it's probably 1972. 72 is 17-16. and it's 16-3 with 4 minutes left in the game.
Wow.
And Newton, my roommate, blocks two punts. Gardner Jack kicks the extra point, and it's 17-16. You guys weren't even born back then, were you?
I mean, I was a thought.
And what advice do you guys have to the younger guys playing the games now, preparing for this game next week? Sometimes you don't appreciate what you have until you look back at it. So what advice would you give them right now as they're about to enter this game?
Make sure you have a lot of good health insurance.
I didn't hear what he said.
Make sure you paid your premium.
Yeah. Well, you know, for Alabama, they need to relax and go play their game. You can't make it special. It just is special.
Part of the journey is try to absorb it, try to let it soak in, try to realize the gratefulness of the opportunity that you have to be in this special atmosphere. And that's hard to do when you're there. When you get our age, you realize, I wish I'd have smelt the grass a little bit more and looked in the stands a little bit more. But you're so focused, you don't do that. And that's what would be the advice that I would say to these young kids is enjoy the moment. I think Coach Saban has a saying, you know, be where your feet are.
Yeah.
I've heard him say it 1,000 times. Well, a part of that goes to our life. I think we rush to the next thing all the time. And so this Saturday when they line up and they're down there and they're playing, that's what I would say. Look around a little bit and soak a little bit of it in because it's gone quick.
Well, we can't end this discussion without getting your predictions for this Saturday's game. So, Steve, we'll go down the line starting with Steve. Prediction, final score, who wins?
2 weeks ago, I thought we were in good shape. I have no idea now. I just don't see a high-scoring game. Not like that 56 to 55 a couple of years ago, whatever.
56-45, 55-45.
But I think the bookies have Alabama, 18.5?
Is it really?
Yeah. If our defensive coordinator can come up with a plan, and if they give the ball to Bixley, to Tank, I think we're in it.
It's a very diplomatic answer by you, Steve.
Yeah. I'm just glad he didn't mention chicken feet or anything like that, right? No, I think Alabama has the best team. I agree with him. Auburn, but I think Bo Nix, he doesn't get hurt against Mississippi State. I think they win that game. I just think that Alabama's too good defensively, rushing the passer. I think Auburn will challenge them with the run, but in the end, Bryce Young, it's hard to beat.
Your final score prediction?
I don't have a final score. I think Alabama doesn't cover. I don't see them covering 18.5. Not down there anyway.
Kyle?
Well, I hope everything that I'm about to say does not come true. But I would probably say at the juncture we're at right now, the home field advantage will help. You got to hope that it messes up their signals or their snap counts. But they're very dynamic, and we're not very good at covering dynamic players. So I feel like the home field will keep it closer. I'm with him. I don't think it'll be a 20-point spread, but my heart says, man, we're going to figure out a way to pull it out. And if we pull it out, it'll be a weird way. But if it's a straight-up game, I got to figure that Alabama's probably going to win.
Well, I'm starving. I think we should eat.